Get your ring fingers in the middle.
Your ring fingers?
In the
All
middle.
below.
Oh, in the middle.
And your index?
That's it.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. In English?
Oh, in English. Okay, here's the
Great earth,
Filled with the smell of incense,
covered
with a blanket of flowers,
the great
mountains, the four continents,
wearing a jewel
to
to sun and
moon.
in my mind I make them the
Paradise of the Buddha,
and
offer it all to you.
By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratnam Mandalakam Niryateya.
I go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and
And
Sangha
Sangha until I achieve enlightenment.
by the
Power
power
of the goodness that I do, in giving and the rest, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being.
I go for
Refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha until I achieve enlightenment. By the power of the goodness that I do, in giving and the rest, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being.
I go for refuge
Refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha
until I achieve enlightenment. By the power of the goodness that I do, in giving and the rest, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. Yes, it's Carol. Hi. Welcome. We're just getting started, so. All right. So we are working our way up in this course to get to proving past and future lives. And we're in class 6 now, and we haven't proven it yet. So, but it's coming. It's coming. We are working up to that, and this class is another big setup for it. So next class will actually go into the proofs. We were talking about omniscience and omnipotent beings, right? Last week. So the teachings start out with a comment of somebody, and what is an omniscient being, and what's an omnipotent being? Just to refresh.
All-knowing, all-powerful.
All-knowing, all-powerful?
Yes, that's pretty good. For omniscience?
Omniscience is all-knowing.
All-knowing.
All-knowing. And we say that is what a Buddha is all-knowing. Knowing everything, past, future, and present. Knowing all things at once, in an instant. And then, what is an omnipotent being? That would be like an all-powerful being that would create the world, right? So we were talking about that last week, how an omnipotent being cannot exist, right? So here, we're saying that an omniscient, omnipotent being cannot create the universe. Because that would mean it had to create its own mind, create its own world, right? And how can you create your own omniscience? How can you? You have to be omniscient to create omniscience. So it doesn't work. You know, think about that. If you're a creator of the world and you know all things, knowing all things would have been something he'd also had to create. So it had to create its own omniscience. And you cannot create your omniscience if you're not omniscient already. That would be like they're saying, that would be like a knife cutting itself. It doesn't work. Because who created the omniscience then? It's funny, look on your face. So that's something you can think about.
We don't think about a creator of the world.
Sorry.
We don't think about a creator of the world.
What are you saying?
I guess I'm asking, do we think about, is that a question that we would ponder? The creation?
Yeah, because I think
Well, because we can't because it's our creation.
in our society, we kind of assume, right? We're raised with that idea that there's an omnipotent being who made everything, and
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I see my,
it's tricky.
I'm a part of my society.
So here we can start to just question if it is truly possible, right? And we spoke about that last week. Why it can be possible.
Just so I understand clear, so omniscience is basically the creator, or do I have it backwards?
No, that's backwards.
Okay.
Omnipotent is a creator god.
Okay, so
Omniscience is knowing all things. Omniscience is what we say a Buddha has. We don't say in Buddhism that there is a God outside of us who's created every part of our world we live in. Because who do we say created our world in Buddhism?
We create our world
Yeah, you create your own world by what?
by our karma.
By your karma. Yeah.
However, Buddhism doesn't answer the question of where that originates, where the mind stream originates, where the first instant originates.
The first instance of mind. Yeah, they say it's beginningless.
It's beginningless.
Yeah. There's no beginning. You can never find the beginning.
And you can never find an end for that matter. So I have to shelf that idea of the creator God because I think, and I haven't grasped it enough yet to say that there isn't a creator God of some sort that created the beginning or is watching this unfold.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not taking part in our day-to-day karma and thoughts and everything that plays out, just watching it. I don't know.
It's good. It's good to. The idea is that you think about it, right?
Yeah.
The idea is not to accept anything I say right now,
Yeah.
it's good to take it home and meditate on it. Like,
Yeah.
how is it possible? Why do I think it's possible that there can be a creator God? And what would this creator God look like? What do they do?
Yeah.
You know?
And I know you talked about the mind
And why
reflection.
wouldn't it be possible? Like, you gotta take both arguments and then fight it out, right? And think about, meditate on that, and think hard. And that will not be solved in one session, you know.
No,
That'll
and,
take time.
yeah, and I have been thinking about it ever since we talked about the mind and how the mind reflects, like the color blue.
Mm-hmm.
You take the color blue away and then it's not there, and to explain omniscience about that. But that's thinking that God exists in the same way that I exist. So if my mind works this way, God's mind must work that way. And what I'm trying to say is, I can't possibly know how God's mind works.
No.
No.
You
So
don't.
I can't say it's like my mind.
No. You can't say that at all. No, because it's not.
No.
Nobody's mind is like yours, actually.
No.
Hey. But it's tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very tricky. So that needs a lot of thinking. Yeah.
So, omniscience really is emptiness. That's what the Buddha is.
No. No, omniscience is not the same as emptiness. Emptiness is a lack.
So omniscience. So,
Omnipotent.
is like the creator of God. We create our own karma. There is no beginning and end.
There's no beginning.
There's no beginning. And
So in
omniscience.
Buddhism, they say that there is no omnipotent being. And in our society, we do believe that there is such a being. Right? That's what we've grown up with.
There's no.
So anyways,
Okay.
as this class will move on, maybe some more of your questions will get answered, or of your confusion, because we are working up towards something here. So in the class, I don't remember which class it was of this course, maybe 2, but we had this statement, I don't know if you remember, and it was Master Dignaga, was it Master Dharmakirti, saying, I bow down to the person who has the 5 qualities. Remember that? I bow down to the protector, those gone to bliss, the teacher, those who wish to benefit all sentient beings, and those who've turned into persons with valid perception. So that's what we're talking about today. Proving how someone can exist with valid perception, which is being totally correct, right? We've established that through these classes. That's Sema, right? We talked about that a lot. So how can you become a totally correct being? And what this will do, what we're talking about, is the reasoning of the forward order. And we're going to prove that there can be such a thing, there can be such a being that is totally correct through a progression, right? Through causes. And that can also help us with that idea of there being not, or being an omnipotent being. Right? If we can prove that you can actually become somebody that's a Buddha, then what does that mean, right? So let's talk about that. So say Lukjung. Lukjung means forward progression. Luk is forward and Jung is progression. And then there's, let me just see here. There's Lukjung and then there's Lukdok. Lukdok is the reverse order of something. So a classic example, Turnjit printed out some nice pictures of the Wheel of Life. I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but I think you can just... it's as an example, it's not in your homework, it's but just to explain what the forward order of something is.
Lukduk is
Lukduk is reverse order.
reverse order.
Yeah.
And Lukjun?
Lukjung is forward order. Which means one thing leads to the next, and then that thing leads to the next, until we get to how somebody can be a correct being. How someone can become a Buddha, right? So the Wheel of Life, that painting, is actually something I don't know a whole lot about. I haven't studied it. But you know who would know a lot about it? It's Sarah Enright. She's painting that right now. Yeah, she is. I took a Tanka painting class with her, with an amazing Tibetan painter, amazing. And that's what she's making. She's going to end up making this painting. So she would know really well what it all means. There's a lot to be said about that. It's about suffering, right? The chains of suffering and how to get out of it. Yeah. So in that Wheel of Life, it starts with ignorance. That's the beginning of suffering, right? Because when you have ignorance, what do you do when the guy at work yells at you? You yell back. Louder. Yeah. So that's ignorance, when you think that person is outside of yourself doing bad things to you, right? And then because we act back in similar fashion, what we do is we create karma. And when we create this karma, eventually it will lead to death. And then it will lead to rebirth. And you cycle through. And so that would be forward order, right? Ignorance leads to acting badly, leads to collecting karma, leads to death, leads to rebirth, it keeps going like that. Karma triggers one thing after another. So if you would go in the reverse order, say, I would like to stop death, then what do? To shut off death, you need to shut off karma. The karma for rebirth, right? And how do you do that? You shut off grasping. How do you shut off grasping? By shutting off ignorance, right? So that would be the reverse order. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's just an example. Again, that's not in your homework, but it's just to show you forward progression causes leading to the next step. Okay. And actually, it's a good way to memorize things, right? To go forward and then backwards, forward, backwards. It will help you memorize very good. Okay, so we are going to do this with Master Dignaga's statement. We're using 4 reasonings, 4 qualities to prove that Buddha is a totally correct being. And I hope this will be clear. It took me so many hours to figure this out. So in Tibetan, We say Tumpa,
Tumpa,
Chuchen,
Chuchen,
Semar,
Seymour,
Gyur,
Gyor,
Te Kyopa,
Kyopa,
Jinpeche.
Jinpeche.
So that would mean consider the teacher. He became totally correct because he is a protector. So Tumpa Chuchen, that's a form of debate and logic. We often start like that. Chuchen means like, for example, or let's consider, like that. Right? Tumpa is teacher. And Sema, we know, Sema is, what's that? Good. Sema Gyurte means turned into a totally correct person, being. And Kyopa is protector. Jinpei is, and cheer because. So it's considered a teacher. He became totally correct because he's the protector. Now, does that mean anything? Not yet, right? Okay, so we're taking one part of the verse to prove another part of the verse. So what is a protector? A protector, this is what we spoke about last week. A protector is someone who teaches the Four Noble Truths. Why are you a protector when you teach the Four Noble Truths? Remember, we spoke about the Four Noble Truths last week, and we said the first one, which is what?
Suffering.
Yeah. Truth of suffering. We said that the Buddha was so right on with this statement, life is suffering, and the precision that he taught that we accept it, and because that's true, then the other three must be true, right? We spoke about that last week. So the only way that a Buddha can help you, can protect you, is through teaching. That's why the Buddha's speech is considered to be the highest form of activity, because he can protect you through speech, through teaching. Okay. He describes the problems involved in the First Noble Truth so accurately that you can judge that he should be correct, right? Even though we cannot perceive the other three truths directly. The Four Noble Truths will get you out of suffering, and that is what he's teaching. So he's protecting you, right? He's teaching you what to pick up, what to let go. He's teaching you a way to nirvana, a way to Buddhahood by teaching. That's why he's a protector.
What's coming to my mind is
Yeah.
protecting, and I'm thinking of like a guide. I'm thinking of like a person, well, like a shepherd, someone, or protecting and guiding through. There's the idea of guiding where you're going to go,
Mm-hmm.
and like a shepherd. I know that sounds like Christ, very biblical, but
No, that's
I think
beautiful.
it's the image that comes to mind, because the idea of protecting. I'm working with that, you know. And that's not what I normally understand, but I see that. So the idea of protecting the person through a process which they would, you know, like imagine if we were sheep, we don't have that knowledge. We don't, not unlike a sheep, that word protection to make it
I like
more
it.
sense.
I like it. I like it. It is actually used as an example in teachings like that also. So the thing is that he cannot do it for you, right? So he can only teach you, and then you have to do the work. That's a thing that Buddhas do.
And that's why we say take refuge, because you're under their protection. You know, it's under their protection.
Yeah.
And so you can have that space, because it's not, to our everyday understanding, it's not evident. You need it. You need to be protected. You need to be in it, have that in order to be able to come to have that arise for yourself.
Yeah.
So that makes sense to me now. I understand refuge now too. If that's the case. That sense of that
You go to someone like a doctor, right? You don't have the capacity yourself, so you go to someone that can help you. And in this case, we take refuge to the Buddha because he can get us out of the whole cycle of suffering. And the way he describes suffering is way more subtle than the Christian way, because in Buddhism they say a beautiful sunset is suffering. The most delicious ice cream is suffering. Why? Because it always ends. It doesn't stay. Right? It doesn't mean you shouldn't enjoy the beautiful sunset. It doesn't mean you shouldn't enjoy the nice ice cream. But it will end. Nothing lasts, and it will leave you wanting more, and it will leave you craving for that feeling of bliss for a moment while you eat the ice cream, which is ignorant, right? So that's suffering, because there's no happiness in an object like ice cream or sunset. The only way to have happiness is to eliminate all your suffering, and then any moment of the day is extremely blissful. Okay, so that's why he's a protector. So he's a totally correct being because he's a protector. Okay, that's the first step of the forward progression. So this was spoken by Master Dignaga. So he is the grandfather of Buddhist logic. The Master Dharmakirti is the father of Buddhist logic.
Who's the father?
Dignaga is the grandfather, Dharmakirti is the father. So Dignaga is the one who wrote the beautiful text, and then we needed all the commentaries on that, remember? Because it was too hard to understand. Okay, so we are doing, right now, what we're doing is Rikpa Shi. Say Rikpa.
Rikpa.
Shi. Shi is 4, and Rikpa is reasonings. So we're doing 4 reasonings of the forward order, which in this case refers to where does a Buddha come from. So the first reasoning of the forward order was the reasoning of the protector, right? Lord Buddha is totally correct being because he's a protector. That was our first reasoning. And he is a protector because he's the one person that describes suffering perfectly. So that's the first one. So then the second reasoning, first reasoning is reasoning of the protector. Second reasoning, reasoning of having gone to bliss. So let's do the Tibetan for that. Tumpa Chuchen Kyopayin Dreamer, Pang Pager. Tumpa is teacher. Chujin is take for example. Kyopa is protector. Yin is Teidrima is bad qualities. Pangpei is got rid of. Cheer because. Consider the teacher. He is a protector because he has eliminated all bad qualities in himself. He has eliminated all bad qualities in himself, which refers to the second part of that statement, right? I bow down to the person who has these 5 qualities. The protector, those gone to bliss, the teacher, and then those who wish to benefit all sentient beings, right? So the second part, those gone to bliss, is the same thing as having eliminated all your bad qualities.
We need to know, we need a proof that he went to bliss, that he has eliminated his bad qualities.
Yeah, which we're getting to. So he got rid of all his bad qualities, which is what makes you a protector. If you haven't gotten rid of all your bad qualities, how can you protect? Truly. That's what Buddha means. In Tibetan, Sangye. Sangye is Buddha. Sangye, Sangye, the first part, Sang, is to clear away. And the second part, Ge, would be like to kind of, the first part is to clear away, the second part is to gain omniscience, right? To gain this knowledge. In Sanskrit, Buddha. Buddha is the Sanskrit word. That's what it means. You've eliminated all your bad qualities. That's what you are when you are a Buddha. You've totally eliminated all your bad qualities. You realized all things. Does that make sense? So that's why he is a protector. You know, when you still have bad thoughts and judgments and things, and people come to you for help, you're not a fully safe place for people. Because you always have your own me stuff involved in it, and all your judgment that you're putting on the person that you're trying to help and on the situation, right? People aren't fully safe with you. You're not able to help them perfectly if you haven't done the work yourself. Doesn't mean you shouldn't help people. Yeah, you absolutely should, because it's the one that will propel you to actually become a being like this. But until you have eliminated all your own crap, you're not a protector. You're not someone that can truly help and know what someone else needs. Because we're too selfish. Always think about ourselves. But once we have cleared all that, we're not concerned about ourselves at all.
When I think of that, I don't necessarily think I'm being selfish. I think like if Carol came to me with a concern and I have the same concern, I'm going to look through it through my lens. So it's going to be a biased advice. Not necessarily that I don't want to help her. It's just that my advice is going to be tainted with my experience.
Yeah, which can fully function to help Carol, absolutely. And if your heart's in the right place, it's amazing, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But until you have seen emptiness directly, until you've become a being like that, there's always going to be ignorance, and that's what's driving us, right? That's what's always driving us in everything we do. We don't until we do. We haven't.
I was reading, and I can't remember if it's in this course or one of the other ones I'm taking, about how even a slight irritation can affect your future.
Mm-hmm.
But if a slight irritation comes up and you deal with that with wisdom, so you sit down and think, okay, I'm still hooked here. What is that? Or look into the emptiness of that irritation. Then that's okay. Is that still going to affect my future now? Because I experienced that irritation.
Then you have annihilated.
Because I'm not acting on the irritation.
Yeah.
I got irritated, but I held it inside, and then I sit with it and say, okay, I'm still ticked.
Then you are working, then you just got a little closer to seeing emptiness directly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what you're doing.
It's like an antidote to have that reflection. It's an antidote.
Absolutely.
It's like, because what you're doing is you're recognizing emptiness, that your projection in terms of non-essential quality of what you were hooked on before.
What she's doing is she's stopping the cycle, right? Like I always think of a bicycle wheel, and you put a stick in it, in between the spokes. You're stopping it from turning into more irritation, more dramas, more suffering, more pain. You just stopped it, and we're actually reversing the wheel. We're going now the other way by bringing wisdom into it. Yeah.
And wisdom, we equate with knowledge of emptiness.
Sorry?
Wisdom, I guess it comes to me that wisdom and you're being acquainted with emptiness,
Mm-hmm.
the word knowledge of emptiness,
Mm-hmm.
or as a basic concept.
Understanding where that irritation comes from. Turnjit can understand that she's created it by having this pattern because she was irritated before and she's acted on it, and now she's, it's been cycling like that. And by understanding that if she stops it and not going to act back on it, she will stop it. Okay. Why has he gone to bliss? That would be the third one. So that would be the third one. The third reasoning is the reasoning of the teacher. So say Tumpa, Chuchen, Dreama, Pangpe, Tongni, Ki Tumpa, Jimpecher. Tumpa Chuchen, that's considered a teacher. Dreama, bad qualities. Pangpe, got rid of. Tongni, emptiness. Ki, off. Tumpa, sweat. Teacher. Jinpei is become. And cheer is because. So that would translate in, that's considered a teacher. He's gone to bliss because he teaches emptiness. So he's gone to bliss, which was the same as having removed all the bad qualities, right? How did he get rid of all the bad qualities? By seeing emptiness. Ariana Gardner, I believe, I think that was it. There was this story about monks in the monastery having desire for women. And then there was a teaching on that. How do you deal with that, right? So they say, well, first think about all the stuff that comes out of their holes, right? Snot coming out of their nose, earwax coming out of their ears, and even grosser things out of the other holes, right? Think about that. Think about how we are just like this thing with all this stuff, grossness coming out. Like, think of a woman like that. And if that doesn't work, then if she's roughly the same age as you, think of her as your sister. Or if she's older, think of her as your mother. And then they say, but ultimately, none of that's going to work. What is going to work is contemplate the emptiness of the person you have desire for, of your own desire, right? Emptiness of the three spheres, we say, right? Thinking about the emptiness of yourself, the situation, and the person. And that will be the only thing that will help you. Actually, not just in the case of desire, in the case of anything. Just like we were just talking about Taranjit's irritation problem, right? What's going to help you? Only that.
You call it 3
Spheres.
And so what are the 3 spheres?
Yeah, it's not in this class actually, but it's good to know. The emptiness of yourself, the emptiness of the person or the thing, and then the emptiness of the interaction, of the situation.
You'd have to meditate on that again, some things again and again and again.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Emptiness is, you need to hear it thousands of times. You really do. You really do. So let's do the emptiness of the 3 spheres in your situation. Okay, so say somebody pops up in Taranjit's life who's obvious, very annoying, okay? So tell me the emptiness of the 3 spheres. Try it for me.
So that's me, him, and whatever was said between us.
Mm-hmm.
That's the interaction between us.
Mm-hmm. So the emptiness of you, the way you see yourself in that moment, the way you see yourself, and the way you see him, right? The way he sees himself, the way he sees you, and the way you both see the interaction between the 2 of you, right? There's a lot of potential for wrong decisions, right? Because Because you can grasp to your own self, feeling that self-existent, or to his self-existence, or the situation is what it is, right?
Yeah.
But it's not. It's all empty, right? It could have been perceived a completely opposite way.
Yeah.
You know, he could have said something and you could have thought it was funny, right? Or he could have said something and you never meant to even say anything annoying. He meant to make you laugh or make you happy. I don't know, right? So it's the whole thing is empty, and it all depends on your karma and his karma and the karma that is there in that moment. You know, all dependent on what you've done in the past, what you both done in the past, in order to get you to this moment, how you're going to experience it. So any tiny little situation you can use in a meditation. You don't have to have a big blow up or a big thing. Any little interaction that you have with the lady in Starbucks, like you can do, apply. It's really good to think about, you know, because it makes your life less fixed. You can prove to yourself that it's not fixed. It's not the way you think it is. And you have to go there over and over and over again.
And you need people, because like in this situation, I don't think I was irritated.
Right.
I thought I was interacting very much in the moment, but 2 other people told me I was irritated.
They saw you as being irritated. It doesn't mean you were feeling irritated yourself.
No, but obviously I was.
Well, no, maybe not.
Maybe not. Don't have to. I mean,
They
people can.
both told me in different language that I was hooked.
Well, does that make it so? That's their karma in that moment to perceive you as being irritated,
Not all
right?
rejection.
You're not irritated until you are, you know?
And I didn't think I was. But,
Maybe you weren't.
but now I'm confused.
Well, the whole idea
That's
is to
another one.
confuse you, yeah. To make it less solid, right? To make more room for, hang on a second, maybe things aren't going the way I think they are going all the time around me.
They're
Right?
not. No.
Yeah.
So if a situation where an irritation arises and the inability to be able to deal with that irritation persists and continues throughout a span of time, and not having the ability to have a voice to deal with that irritation, is that a buildup of bad karma for
Not to have a voice in that moment doesn't necessarily need to be a bad thing. Sometimes not to have a voice can be an amazing thing. You know, that might be just exactly what you need, what the person needs. But yes, it is a karma that you have put in place, not necessarily because of bad things, but you put it there. And then it's another karma for you to view that as a bad thing or as a good thing, right? It's all separate karmas going off there. Potential to be anything because it's empty, because it's not fixed.
Perception.
Yeah. If your perception's one thing, yeah, you could think it's the worst thing in the world to not have a voice in that moment. If your perception is different in that moment, you could think, wow, hey, that was awesome. I, for once, didn't have a voice, and it seemed like that was perfect, you know? But it is, and that it doesn't matter, actually, as long as you know everything is a karmic ripening. And when you do, you know you don't need to worry. There's nothing to worry about. All you need to do is do your best and try to be kind and think about the emptiness, the karmas that are going off. You don't need to worry, you know? Like, Turnjeet knows that everything's breaking down for me right now. My computer just blew up yesterday. My blender isn't working. Today the scanner of the studio wasn't working. I'm not worried about it. I know that that's just it's just an arising. There's nothing I can do about it happening, right? I just know that is a result of something I've done in the past, and that's okay. And it will shift again, and I'll do my best to try to fix it, of course. But I don't have to worry, because why worry? It's just what is, right? It came, it happened, and if I have the karma for it all to be fixed and go smoothly again later today, then that's great. If not, then that's my karma. You know, I don't need to worry. You know what I mean? Like it's just an arising.
I'm just thinking too, it's an opportunity for it to accrue karma in how you respond. Right?
Exactly.
It's a wonderful opportunity.
Exactly. And if you think about the emptiness of the situation, then I am using this as a path. I am using my computer breaking down as a path. Every moment, good or bad, you can use as a path towards becoming enlightened, right? It's always a choice that you have. You know, I can freak out and get mad at the computer, or at the person who built the computer, or at my husband for turning it on, or, you know, I could always find somebody to blame, which takes a lot of energy, actually. So why not just skip all that? And, you know, that's...
So for instance, the computer and everything breaking down, and thinking of, trying to, in one's mind, you want naturally to either blame or either the computer or another person in the situation. And sometimes it's really difficult not to go there. And even though you would never tell that person what you think, it is still a bad karma to think those thoughts about that person, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. But you can go back. Sometimes it comes. You cannot help it.
Yes.
I have a bad thought about this person.
It's natural. Like
it comes up. So then what you do is you can cut it and say, okay, I know where that comes from. It actually, that bad thought had nothing to do with that person. It had something to do with me, because I put this karma into place to see this person this way. It wasn't the person. So then you're fixing it, right? And you need to do this over and over again until your natural tendencies, instincts to get mad back at the person that does you harm has changed into this new pattern that you're creating by over and over practicing this, you know. And then naturally it becomes, oh, my computer breaks down. Okay, right? Like, not a big deal. Whether, you know, a few years ago, maybe I would have been crying, right? It takes time, and some situation might trigger different things than others, depending on your karma,
so
right?
don't think any thought, even if the other human being, by sheer life experience of karma against karma, has done or has inflicted some sort of misunderstanding, some karma which was linked between both parties, to let it go, basically. To let it go, or
They aren't linked.
oh,
Not necessarily.
okay,
Right?
It's true. Where does that person come from? Like, everything you see is coming from you. Like, you are creating your world. So if you see this person doing lots of bad things in that person's life, that's coming from you, because other people don't see that person like that. Maybe this person's mom thinks this person is the most amazing thing, has nothing ever done wrong, you know? Like, but for some reason you have the karma to see this person as a badass, right? That's your problem. Not the person's, is your problem that you need to fix. Why do you see bad people in your world? It's because you have the karma to do so. So you have to shift your karma through contemplating the emptiness of this person and of yourself, of the situation, the three serves.
Even if even the reasoning, which is so solid that is that person, is a karma.
Yeah.
It's karma.
And it feels so real, doesn't it? It feels so real.
Super real.
Yeah. Especially when they do you wrong. It feels very real. Yeah. So over and over, you gotta butt your head, you know? Yeah, over and over. And Oh, many times, You just watch your mind and see how it always wants to go to blame, or it always wants to go outside of yourself, and you have to cut that loose because you will never be happy.
But what if it's a detrimental situation where karma is inflicting pain? This person is actually inflicting pain upon many other beings.
Well, you always should do the best thing you can do, right? If that person, it doesn't mean we shouldn't send people to jail if they've murdered someone or if they've done harm. We should protect other people. We should. That's our duty. We have the karma to see this murderer in our midst. Then it's our job to make sure that not another person is being killed. So then we put him in a place where it's safe, like that. So yeah, you can, but it doesn't mean, you still know that the fact that you have a murder in your midst is your karma. You have created it. You have taken life. You have hurt other people, and that's why you see this being. Okay? It's your world. He popped up in your world, so it means you have created it. And it also means you can transform that. And when you bring wisdom to it, it can quickly transform, actually. People that have done you great harm can all of a sudden be like turn into the most amazing gift that you've ever had, They can transform completely. Someone you've hated could be the one that you admire the most because they helped you get rid of all this negative karma. They've helped you grow. They helped you face your worst demons, right? And who does that, right? Somebody needs to do it because you have the karma. If you have the karma that you need to work through, then somebody needs to come and point it out in your face. Because how else are you going to work on it? How else are you going to know if nobody points it out? So that is the path to omniscience, actually. To eliminating all your bad qualities. I'd like to move on because we still have a bit to do. Okay, so where were we? We were at the reasoning of the teacher, right? Consider the teacher. He's gone to bliss because he teaches emptiness. So the implication is that the only way you ever get to bliss is by seeing emptiness directly. And a totally correct person, someone with Sema, who's always correct, like the Buddha, you only say something when you truly know. Imagine if we would do that, if we would only speak when we would truly know that it was true, right? All day long we make assumptions, like all day long we make assumptions about all sorts of situations. We make judgments about people, again we blame and this and that, right? Imagine if we didn't speak anything unless we knew for sure that this is the truth. So that's what the totally correct being does.
How common is it to see emptiness directly? I mean, is it just reserved for people like Jesus and the Buddha? Or, I mean, there's all these monks that are just meditating
honestly,
night and day for years and years and years.
Mm-hmm. It does take time. And, but the whole goal of all these courses is actually for you to see it. Because it's fully possible. Like all these courses contain everything for you to go and see it. That's the whole purpose. Like if it's only reserved for people like Jesus and Buddha, who, by the way, Buddha was just a normal person like us, right? Which implies that yes, it's possible for anyone if you really want it and if you're committed, right? Which takes work. It takes a lot of morality. It takes meditation. It takes you having a teacher and serving your teacher, right? It takes a lot. It takes a lot of.
Are you able to look at people and say, okay, I know who's seen emptiness directly?
If you have a certain karma, yes. When you have seen emptiness directly, you will know. You can just see it in people. And if you haven't seen emptiness directly, if you have a certain karma, then you know, you can tell.
Yeah.
And so yes, it's possible. It's fully possible. That's why we're here. If it wasn't possible, then why would we come here? Why would we not be outside and go for a nice walk somewhere in nature, right? Like, there's no point. If it wasn't possible, I wouldn't be sitting here. Really. I wouldn't spend 6 hours preparing for this class, right? I would be watching a nice movie on Netflix. Really, right? And that's actually what this class is about, to show us that it is possible with this forward progression. Like, how do you get there? You know? Okay. So to get to bliss, you get to bliss by seeing emptiness directly. Because when you see emptiness directly, then you truly start to eliminate all your negative karma, all your suffering. It goes really quickly. We do a lot of work before we see emptiness directly, but when we have seen emptiness directly, our wisdom is so ingrained that all our acts are acts of holy being, right? So it goes away quicker after you see emptiness directly. So that's why you can become a person who's gone to bliss after you see emptiness directly. So then the last part is Tumpa Chuchen Tongni Ki Tumpa Yinte. Okay. So Tongni is emptiness. Tumpa Chuchen was considered a teacher, right? Tongni is emptiness. He is of Tumpa's teacher. Yinte is he is. Tukche. I'm confused there. Yinte. Okay, so it continues. I didn't finish that right there. So it was Tumpa Chuchen, Tongni Ki, Tumpa Yinte, Tukje, Chengpo, Jupe Chir. So the last part, Tukje, is compassion. Chengpo is great. So great compassion. In Sanskrit, compassion is karuna, right? Maha karuna would be great compassion. Jupe is because, and cheers possesses. So this translates to, he is the teacher because he has great compassion. Which refers to that part in that statement where we bow down to, right? We bow down to being that helps all beings, which is great compassion. So great compassion is actually the primary cause of Buddha. He helps all beings because he has great compassion. And because of compassion, he teaches emptiness. Because he's teaching emptiness, he has eliminated all his negative afflictions. Because he has eliminated all his negative afflictions, he has gone to bliss. Because he has gone to bliss, he's the protector. Does that make sense? So great compassion is really the start of anything, of everything, becoming Buddha. Apparently, these 4 reasonings of the forward order are not written down in any book. This came from Geshe Michael Roach's teacher, Ken Rinpoche, from his note books from 1961, which is pretty cool. Apparently, it's been an oral tradition all along in the monasteries. So, the forward order is a chain of causes. Each previous statement is proven by each succeeding statement when considered in a forward order. I think so. So in Buddhism, we don't believe that there is a God that is a primal cause. We believe that great compassion is the primal cause of Buddhahood. You cannot have bodhicitta without great compassion.
So great compassion is the cause
Of Buddhahood. Yeah. Because if you don't care about other people, then why want to help them? Why become a Buddha? Right? So it's the whole driving force, if you will, to get you there. Because you are sick of seeing people suffer and you want them to bring happiness, right?
But that's the 4th one, right? It's not the first one.
That's the 4th, but that's confusing because now they're saying actually it is the first. But in the homeworks, the first one would be the protector, the order that we've done. But they're all.
Well, they're kind of, are they necessarily even linear, right? The compassion, I can't, well, I'm not going to say.
It does. It's linear in a sense, yeah. You'll see when you do the reading and you take some time to think about this a little bit.
I can understand compassion being first, because that we can experience with our own direct experience, right?
Mhm.
Because we see suffering around us, and so that is, I would see it as a starting point.
Yeah.
Because even we can see that when we experience compassion.
So Ningje is a word for compassion, and it means Ningje means to get out of suffering. You want to get someone out of trouble. You want to relieve them of suffering, like when a child is sick. So that would be compassion, right? You want to take away their pain. Jampa is love. What would that be? What's the difference between compassion and love? Compassion is wanting to take away the pain. Love is what?
wanting to infuse it with peace. kindness.
Yeah, it's giving. Love is to give happiness. So compassion is to take your pain. Jampa is to give you love, to give you happiness. Like with a child, when they're sick, we want to take away their sickness. And love would be to just give them presents to make them happy, right?
Love is to give.
To give anything that will make them happy. So in the homework, there will be a question like, what is the difference between great compassion, holy compassion, and just compassion? So Nying Je Chenpo is great compassion. Nying means heart or essence. And Je, which we should know because of Je Tsongkhapa, right? Je means Lord. So Nying Je would be Lord of Hearts. That's how they translate compassion, which is very nice. Your highest state of your heart. So that would be great compassion of non-enlightened being. And when they make a difference in Tibetan, like when you speak about Buddhas or High Dalai Lama, you use a different word than if you address your neighbor, right? So that's why it's called Tuk Je Chenpo in Tibetan for holy great compassion, which we use this way of speaking we use when we talk about the Lama, the Buddha, right? It's the compassion of an enlightened being. So when you have regular old compassion would be the wish that other people don't suffer, right? We said that. Then great compassion is that you want to take away their suffering and you take the responsibility to take it. Bloody well, I'm gonna do this so I can help, right? So that feeling of personal responsibility would be great compassion. I'm gonna see to it myself that I become enlightened so I can help every being like that. Right? That would be great compassion. And then holy compassion would be the compassion of an enlightened being who actually helps all beings, right?
What's the first compassion again? The first compassion means three levels you're talking about?
Yeah, so that would be taking away suffering, the wish to take away people's suffering. Then great compassion is to take it on yourself. You feel responsible.
And the third again, how is that?
Holy compassion, that would be an enlightened being. It's compassion. Who acts on a different level than we do, right?
Who's able to, right?
Sorry?
Who is able to take away the suffering?
Through teaching.
Through teaching.
Yeah. Not to, because he's not omnipotent, right? He's not all, because if he could take away people's pain, there would be no pain in the world right now. Because they're beings of love, beings of compassion. So if they had the power to take away anybody's pain, we wouldn't have any pain right now. Unfortunately, that's not the case. So the only thing they can do is teach and help us understand how to get out of suffering. So how long does it take to get great compassion? Long time. Here it says 30 to the 60th power. I don't know what that means, but it means like eons, a long time.
Like infinity.
Not infinity, but a long time. And the fact that you're sitting here, you have been working on it for a long time, which is good news, right? Okay. So, why are we doing all this? Because we were going to prove past and future lives. And the Charvagats, the Hindu school, ancient Hindu school, who are confronting, they were active at the time of Dharmakirti, and they said, no, there is no such thing as past life. Therefore, you could not get great compassion over many lives. Okay. Therefore, there is no omniscient being called a Buddha. Let's just take 2 minutes break here. 3-minute break. Yeah, there's another bathroom right there.
It was good that you said, we both said that maybe you were irritated and it was their karma to see you irritated. I never thought of it like that. Okay.
Well, usually it's pretty obvious when you feel irritated, right?
Yeah.
So, you know if you had it or not. Well, for yourself, but how anyone else perceives
I
it.
was talking and I was thinking, like that. But I was just confused by the situation. I was more confused and bewildered than irritated. But they told me I'm still hooked. I don't know.
And to complicate things, you could even think it was your karma to hear them say that,
Exactly.
to confuse you.
Yeah.
Which makes it more complicated, right?
Yeah. So then I'm thinking, I'm going around in my life. I must have been confusing people if I'm getting confused myself. Obviously, that's
Thank
why
you for the.
You're
I
welcome.
kind of confusion or irritation. I have to have irritated someone to be irritated. I have to confuse someone to be confused, right?
And even then, I don't know if it says, I don't even know if it's typical like that. It could even be, I don't know, you know what I mean? It could be something similar to that, let's say.
Okay, we're basically done, so we have like 2 minutes left. Okay, so the Charvakas say there's no such thing as past lives, therefore you cannot get great compassion over lives, over many lives. Therefore, there is no omniscient being called a Buddha. So then Dharmakirti says, all right, now I have to prove to you that past and future lives do exist, and that it takes all these past lives to develop this great compassion. So that's why Dharmakirti is interested in proving Master Dignaga's statement. So next week we're going to go into these proofs of past and future lives. But the Charvakas say that there's no such thing as past and future lives because the mind depends on the body. So your mind and body are linked. They say there's no past and future lives because it's obvious. When your body stops, your brain stops. So there's no more mind. And upon conception, your brain starts, your life and mind start here. Okay? That's their argument. Pretty valid, I'd say. I think a lot of people think like that, and that's why they've chosen the Charvakas in these classes, because it's quite similar to what many people belief. So Master Dharmakirti has to prove to the Charvakas the relationship of the mind and the body. And in this way, he'll prove the past and future lives. So there's in the homework, there's a question that you can find actually in the text. 3 reasons, why the Charvakas believed that the mind died when the body died. They say there's 3 reasons. The first one is the mind is a quality of the body, in the way that the ability to make a person drunk is a quality of alcohol.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Yes, the mind is a quality of the body in the way that the ability to make a person drunk is a quality of alcohol. The second one, the mind is by nature dependent on the body. In the same way that the design that you put on the wall is dependent on the wall. And then the third one, the mind is a result of the body in the way that light is a result of a lamp. I'll repeat them. The mind is a quality of the body in the way that the ability to make a person drunk is the quality of alcohol. The mind is by nature dependent on the body in the way that a design that you put on a wall is dependent on the wall. And the mind is a result of the body in the way that a light is a result of a lamp. So this is the Charvakas. This is their statement that we are going to attack, if you will. We're going to try to prove that it cannot be true. That your mind does not end when you die. So that was class. That's not an easy class.
Yes.
But beautiful, right? A lot of stuff that you can think about. And like I said before, you don't need to understand it all right now. It's good to contemplate and to debate it in your mind and put different arguments against each other and try to figure it out, meditate, contemplate. And in time, maybe you'll come to a conclusion.
Mariska, one week the week you weren't here,
Yeah.
I think Misha was saying something about how about if you just believe this? Like I believe in past and future lives. I don't
Yeah.
have to kind of feel like I have to do this logic. I just do. The same way I believe, world is round. There isn't doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
So I almost feel like I don't.
You don't need it.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. In that sense that I'm just like, I get it. I already believe this. I'm good. But it's good to try to get to the point, why do I believe this? Why is it that this is a no-brainer for me? Have I ever thought about that? Why can't I just say, yeah, I buy that, no problem. Like, it's good to think about why you think something. Just in the same sense of why an opposite view would be, there is such a thing as an omnipotent being. Is that because they truly believe it? Have they thought about it, or they just believe it? It's good. And I think when you start to think about why you believe such a thing or don't believe such a thing, it does sink in deeper. it all ties into karma and emptiness, and all of these things are really good to think about. So I think it is beneficial, even though you don't really need to be convinced otherwise. And then also, if people come to you and they really would like you to explain to them, hey Hogan, do you think that there's such thing as past and future life? Why? Then it's good to be able to help other people, right? And to have arguments that you've thought about that make sense logically that you could present to someone. But we always say never try to sell your beliefs. But if somebody is truly interested and wants to know, then you can help them much better if you have thought about it and if you've worked it through logic. It's different than just believing it, just knowing that, you know what I mean? Because I'm very familiar with that feeling when I started to take teachings of my teacher. I was like, anything you say, I believe it. Everything. I don't need to do logic because I already believe it. But that's what I was told. Like, you have to, and then you understand it deeper in a different way.
It's kind of like removing naivety also.
Sure.
Just kind of making clarity of, for myself personally, I find sometimes I can easily be manipulated one way or another. If I hear something that sounds really good, I can think, oh, I get that too.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes I can be caught in double jeopardy where I can, both views are valid, and I maybe could be manipulated to think
but these courses are really to train your mind into a way of logical thinking.
Yes.
So that when someone brings up an argument, that you can, in your mind, work it out logically. And it makes your mind really sharp, which will help you in meditation also, and will help you in just general in life to make decisions, and to it will help you to understand karma and emptiness better, which is like the main thing we are after, right?
That makes sense because it's focus, right? And that's what meditation we want focus. We want fine pointed focus. So this is like finally focusing our thoughts. The general belief becomes very finely tuned, very finely refined into its pieces.
Yeah.
And also I think there's the aspect of faith. I get it. I know. Why? Because I believe. That's faith, right? And I don't know. I'm thinking maybe Buddhism is really faith-based, like a religion. I'm not sure. I'm just throwing it out there as a thought. I know they distinguish Buddhism from religions.
Mm-hmm.
That's maybe one of the aspects.
But the Tibetan Buddhism, they're very precise. Like they're always, this lineage anyways, always about lots of lists and lots of precision, lots of definitions, because they want to cover everything to make it completely clear. Like there's no other option because we've covered every single option. Often when they want to prove a statement, they start to prove all the things it's not. And then when you've eliminated everything that it's not, then it can only be that one thing that you're trying. There's reasons why.
Just kind of like a scientific method.
Yeah.
That's true.
Anyways, we better close up shop. Filled with the smell of incense, covered with a blanket of flowers, the great mountain, the 4 continents, wearing a jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha, and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratnam Makamnirayam. By the goodness what I've just done. May all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the two ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom take.
Thank you so much.